History remembers Sir Isaac Newton as the ultimate man of reason, the undisputed genius who unlocked the laws of gravity, mastered advanced mathematics, and turned the entire universe into a predictable, logical clockwork machine. But behind the closed doors of his private chambers, a far darker truth was hiding from the world. For over 30 long years, Newton dedicated his immense intellect not to modern physics, but to the forbidden realm of alchemy and occult sciences. Welcome to Chronicles of Wisdom, where tonight we look directly into the forgotten madness of science. During the day, Newton belonged to the world of logic. He maintained the perfect image of a pure rationalist to his colleagues. But when darkness fell on Cambridge, he locked his laboratory doors to the public. He was not just a physicist. He was a secret occultist, a man deeply obsessed with the unseen world, spending decades trying to break the very laws of nature he helped define. While his university colleagues believed he was busy refining mathematical equations, Newton was operating a secret chemical furnace in total isolation. For over 30 years, he worked through the night, surrounded by fire and toxic smoke. He was not looking to understand the physical world. He was trying to discover the ancient, divine language of God that modern science was too shallow to comprehend. In this hidden room, Newton constantly experimented with deadly substances like lead, antimony, and mercury. He breathed in their toxic fumes day after day, and even tasted the chemicals directly. He was searching for the Philosopher's Stone, the legendary key to eternal life and absolute cosmic truth, convinced that the answers were hidden in chemical alchemy. But the heavy metals in his blood demanded a terrible price. By the year 1693, the severe mercury poisoning began to completely shatter his sanity. The father of modern reason was slowly drowning in a dark sea of paranoia, insomnia, and terrifying hallucinations. He was no longer just studying the darkness had taken over his mind. Newton completely lost his grip on reality. He suffered from severe paranoia, claiming his closest friends and colleagues were sending spies to destroy him and steal his work. He refused to sleep, staring at his locked laboratory doors for hours, convinced that invisible enemies were waiting for him in the shadows. As his sanity shattered, Newton turned his massive intellect toward a new obsession: biblical codes. He spent years learning ancient Hebrew to study the book of Daniel. He was convinced that the Bible was not just a religious text, but a complex mathematical puzzle hiding a secret, divine timeline of human history. Newton believed the universe was a perfect cosmic clock built by God, and that every clock must eventually stop. He became convinced that God had hidden the exact expiration date of humanity inside the scriptures, waiting for someone with the right mathematical mind to decode it. He was now chasing the ultimate number, the end of days. He spent months in total darkness, refusing food and human contact, working through the toxic fumes of his furnace. He filled thousands of secret pages with chaotic calculations, connecting astronomical cycles, historical empires, and biblical verses into one massive, terrifying equation to find the final number. And finally, he found it. In a private paper hidden away from the church, the scientific community, and the public eye, Newton wrote down the final, terrifying date. According to the greatest mind in human history, the apocalypse would strike exactly in the year 2060. For Newton, the year 2060 was not a random guess born out of fear. It was the absolute mathematical climax of humanity. He truly believed that the world was running on a divine countdown, an unstoppable celestial mechanism. He was convinced that no king, no empire, and no scientist could ever stop the gears of God from grinding to a catastrophic halt on this exact date. But why did the world remain completely blind to this terrifying discovery? Because Newton knew his dark calculations would completely destroy his academic reputation. He hid these forbidden papers in the deepest shadows of his estate, leaving behind a secret legacy that would remain buried in darkness for more than 2 centuries. To the public eye, Newton maintained the ultimate mask of sanity and elite intellectual order. He became the president of the Royal Society and the master of the Mint. He ruled the scientific world with an iron fist, all while his brilliant mind was secretly burning with apocalyptic fire and forbidden occult knowledge. Even at the absolute height of his political power, the secret furnace in his quarters never went cold. Newton spent a massive fortune buying rare occult books from across Europe. He wrote over 1 million words on alchemy, far more than he ever wrote about physics, mathematics, or the laws of gravity combined. Those who lived near him began to notice strange, unsettling changes in his behavior. Dark rumors spread of a brilliant mind losing its grip on sanity. Late at night, heavy footsteps could be heard rushing through his locked rooms, accompanied by the toxic smell of sulfur and the manic laughter of a man talking to ghosts. The core of his 2060 prediction was based on a highly specific historical anchor, the year 800 AD, marking the rise of the Holy Roman Empire. Newton calculated that exactly 1,260 years of spiritual corruption and moral decay would pass before the ultimate cleansing of the earth. The math was flawless, but the premise was absolute madness. Living this dangerous double life took a massive psychological toll on his soul. Newton became increasingly paranoid and isolated, refusing to let anyone near his laboratory. He believed that if the church found out about his heretical calculations, he would lose his freedom, his reputation, and his soul would be cursed forever. The severe chemical poisoning in his blood never truly left his body. Every single word he wrote during these dark years was directly infected by the heavy metals destroying his nervous system. His divine genius and his manic madness had become completely fused together, driven by a toxic cocktail of mercury and obsession. Newton did not view the end of the world as a tragedy or a punishment. To him, the apocalypse was a necessary cosmic reset. He believed that humanity had fallen too deep into moral darkness, and only a catastrophic, divine event could restore the original, pure laws of the universe. As his long, turbulent life began to draw to a close, Newton sealed his final prophecy away from human eyes. He buried the terrifying truth, leaving the world to worship his rational laws of physics, while the dark countdown to the year 2060 quietly began to tick away in the shadows of history. For over 2 centuries, Newton's secret papers remained hidden, passed down through generations of aristocrats who refused to open the box. It wasn't until 1936, at a public auction in London, that these forbidden manuscripts were finally sold to the highest bidder, exposing the dark side of history's greatest icon. The man who bought the majority of these secret papers was none other than the legendary economist John Maynard Keynes. As Keynes began to translate the chaotic formulas, he was shocked by what he found. He realized that Newton was not the first of the age of reason. He was the last of the magicians. When modern scholars finally organized and examined the calculations, the gravity of Newton's prophecy hit the academic world like a shockwave. The year 2060 was no longer a historical footnote buried in old ink. It was an active countdown, engineered by a mind that had never been proven wrong about the laws of the universe. Newton's calculations were based on historical cycles that he believed were controlled by a cosmic blueprint. To him, history was not a series of random events, but a strict, unyielding mathematical progression. Once the gears were set in motion in the ancient world, the final destination of 2060 became completely inevitable. We look at our modern skyscrapers, our advanced technology, and our space telescopes, believing we have conquered the world Newton built. But according to his private journals, this era of supreme human pride is just the final stage before the collapse. We are living on the edge of his divine timeline. Newton's writings explicitly clarify that the end of the world does not mean the total destruction of the physical earth. Instead, he envisioned a fiery spiritual purge, a divine intervention that would consume the corrupt structures of mankind in a single massive wave of global transformation, leaving behind a clean slate. For decades, secret networks of historians and collectors guarded these dangerous timelines. They understood that if Newton's calculations were revealed to the public too early, it would trigger mass panic and collapse the global order. They watched the centuries pass, counting down the decades in absolute silence. The terrifying part of Newton's work is its mathematical precision. Every other theory he presented to the Royal Society became an absolute law of science. If his calculations for physics, gravity, and optics were flawlessly correct, what if his final calculation for the destiny of humanity is just as accurate? In the timeline decoded from the Book of Daniel, Newton predicted that old geopolitical systems would begin to fragment rapidly as the final year approaches. He saw a world fractured by endless conflicts, moral decay, and institutional collapse, a systemic breaking point where human leadership completely fails. Time is running out on Newton's cosmic clock. As we move closer to the modern century, the margin of error disappears. The centuries of waiting are over. The illusion of a stable, infinite future is breaking apart, leaving us face to face with the exact year written in old ink over 300 years ago. Newton did not want to frighten humanity. In his private letters, he expressed deep worry that false prophets would predict earlier dates, causing people to lose faith when nothing happened. He provided the year 2060 as a solid mathematical baseline, the absolute earliest point for the Great Reset. Today, as these secret documents are studied in elite universities, the attitude toward Newton's madness is changing. Scientists no longer dismiss his alchemy as a waste of time. They realize his obsessed mind was looking for a unified theory connecting the physical world, human history, and the divine blueprint. The clouds are gathering once again, exactly as Newton envisioned in his lonely Cambridge room. The modern world continues its frantic pace, oblivious to the fact that the architecture of our society might be running on a pre-programmed expiration date engineered by the father of science himself. Isaac Newton passed away in 1727, taking his deepest secrets to the grave. He left us a world of cold machines and rational physics, but he kept the key to the exit door hidden in his locked chest. He remains history's greatest paradox, the man who illuminated the world while living in the cosmic dark. As the gears of history continue to turn toward the year 2060, we are left with a chilling question. Was Newton's final prediction the madness of a poisoned mind, or the ultimate truth discovered by humanity's greatest genius? The clock is ticking. Thank you for watching Chronicles of Wisdom. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments below.